Today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing the second film in a film franchise. The film I'm going to be reviewing is Critters 2, the main course. Welcome back, everybody. Now, if you don't know what Critters 2 is about and you haven't seen the first one, Critters 2 is about the eggs of the small but voracious alien creatures called krites are left behind on Earth, and after hatching, set their appetites on the small farm town of Grover's Bend. Now, I know a lot of people don't really like the film, and I think some of the crew kind of regret working on it, but I found it very enjoyable. I also like a little bit of the weirder movies and stuff, so maybe that's why. I love how the film starts. There is a time jump between the first film and the second film, but from an editing standpoint and a writing standpoint, it almost picks up right after the first film when you take into account that maybe bounty hunters in the film whose names are Ugg and Lee. It took me halfway through the movie to realize that when you say it together it says something else. So they also have Charlie from the first film helping them as a bounty hunter as well. It starts in a way that you could actually cut the two films together and maybe just place a title card in between saying 5 years later or whatever. Bounty hunters might experience time a little differently. When they started on that, it kind of picked up after the first film, which was a very good thing. But then on Earth, it's I don't even know the time between the first film and this film. Might have been 2 years or something, but regardless, I found that the movie was well framed, and there were some shots that they framed it in such a way that it added to the movie. Mick Garris's directing was really good in the film. I read that he wanted to make it more scary than the first one, but I found the second one to be a lot more funny than the first one. How can you not find a movie about these guys not funny? The cinematography is great. Like I said, with the framing, it adds to the film and stuff like that. The effects are well executed. The critters, I also read somewhere that the critters in each film look slightly different than the previous films, and they look slightly different from between each of the films. There were slight differences, but for the most part, they looked roughly the same. I found it to be well written for what the film is. It was well written. Comedy was blended well with the horror. It was just a little more comedy than horror, but that's okay. It was very comedic. Some of the lines were one-liners, and then a bunch of other comedic shots where there was one with the innuendo with the guns in the burger shop. Just the way that the guns appeared had kind of a double meaning to it. Let your imagination figure out what I'm talking about. I found it was well acted, again, for what it was, and a few well-known actors were in it. And I found there was one scene in it where Lee, the running joke between the first film and the second film is that Lee can't find a look that is suited for him. I guess them would be the proper term. And Lee ends up coming across a standout of Freddy Krueger, which I thought would have made just that one scene a little bit more funny, to have Freddy Krueger in 2-minute scene or something, maybe fighting the critters. I thought that would have been a good cross-promotion thing, since both properties were owned by New Line Cinema. I think it was a wasted potential, but rights are very tricky, so maybe they just couldn't get the rights for it. It was well lit. The creature effects still hold up in my opinion. They had some pretty cool critter cams in it. There was the POV shots of the critters were really good. Nearing the end of the film, they were all in this big critter ball or krite ball, or I don't even know how to describe it, but the camera was rotating along with it as they're rolling through town, and I thought that was a really cool shot. I found it to be a very entertaining film. I know a lot of people may not agree with that. I would actually give it a 9.9. Yes, that's probably going to cause a bit of arguments, but maybe there could be a discussion in the comments of this video where we could discuss the film and stuff like that. I think that'd be a fun thing to do. Really enjoyed it. I would say you don't really need to see the first film to see this one, but it is one of those films that certainly helps to get that backstory. Yeah, I felt it did improve upon a lot of the things that made the first one good. Obviously, it's not a perfect film. If you get a chance to see it, I'd recommend watching the first one before you watch the second one, but you don't have to. I hope you enjoyed this review, and this film actually does have an Easter egg hunt, and it's an integral part of the storyline. As I was watching it, I found that to be a really cool thing. Well, to see what I mean, I guess you gotta watch the movie. So give this video a like and subscribe if you're new. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for the rest of the ones in the series. So see you in the next one.